Now that we've finished our project, we've got to we need to import it into DataBuild so we can now get a price. So what we do is we go up to here, and this will bring up all the quantities for the job. So everything's in there. All we've got to do is push save and close. Now we've got to go and find that file. What that's generated is a text file. So we go in and we go and find out where it is. Now I'll keep mine on my C drive. I'll keep it in here. No, I don't. I'll keep it in here. Jobs. We go find the job, which I've kept this one in here. In Homestead Range. And now this one here, you'll see by this section here, you'll see it's a text document. So double click on that, open it up. Now there's very few things that have to be adjusted in here, but one that always has to be done is any column has to be fixed up. So that'll be your piers out your front or your posts. So you just walk down here until you find them. Give me a little bit all everything jumbles into one a bit because there's so much of it. Down here, garage, isolated pier. Here we go. So we've got two at 1.6 metres. Now, because, and I'll show you this in a minute, because the way these everything is comma separated. Now we've got first comma. Within the first comma, we've got the code. Within the second comma, we've got the description of what it is. And the third column is what we read, which is the quantity. Now this got two in here. Now columns are always measured in length, which is linear meters, which in this case is in the fourth column. So it's not going to read the fourth column. So what we're going to do is just delete out that section there, and what that's going to leave is 1.6, and that's how it'll read it. If you don't understand it, that's just what you've got to do. You'll work it out after a while of doing it a bit. You'll understand that. Down here you got timber posts again. In the first comma you got your item code. Second comma you got your description. In the third comma you've got number 18 of them. Well, 18 is not going to help you out. You need the actual linear meters. Now, so what you do is you get if it'll bloody stay, just delete out. You make sure that's in that comma. There we go. And the Duragal post. Now another thing with the Duragal post, we've got three of them. Now we only ever get Duragal posts at 3 metres long there, so it's telling me there's 7.8 metres, which isn't going to be enough. So 3 times 3 is obviously 9. So we just put 9 in there. And just have a quick check to see if there's anything else. One other thing, if they're in here. Now it's been a while since I started these videos and actually completed this house before I got to this stage, so I'll just have to check to see if I put some return stop ends on the gutters, because they are also something that has to be changed to linear meters. I mean to each, sorry. I can't find them in there. Anyway, it's not going to be a huge big deal because I am going to go through the build once I'm done and make sure. So all we're going to do now is just go File, Save. Now, if somebody else is looking at this that uses a different system than us, you might do this differently. But this is I always put this onto my local hard drive. Now I've got to change it to our server. So I right click on it, I'll copy it, I'll take it over. This is our server over here. I go to CaveDraw Data. I go to projects, import text we call it, and just down here just right click and paste it, and that'll drop it in there. Righto, now what I'll do is I'll leave that at that for the second. I'll come back in a minute and we'll then go over to DataBuild. Okay, now we come over into DataBuild. Make sure we're in our quoting company here. As you can see, there's a few in here, so make sure it's our quoting company. Go into, once you're inside, go to come over here. We've got to create a job. Now, so we go Add New and Gander. Gander, okay. I can be the code too. Okay, righto. Now out of there, back into the quantities, and come down till you get to import quantities, and this will bring up this screen. Now the first thing you've got to do is go find Gander. So that's the job. Now the recipe, it needs to be in the recipes section here, so this should be 999 because that's where our recipes are kept. You need to go and find the file. Now that's that text file that we made before. So I'm on the server here, so I'm going to go across here into those drive data, go CavDraw data, projects, import text, and go along here until you find Gander. And there it is. Double click on that, and that brings it over in this side over here. Now make sure these are insert leading zeros, delete existing bill. So it's going to delete the existing bill. So make sure this is on this job. There's nothing worse than you've done one already and it'll delete over the top of it if you don't make sure that's right. Separated values, righto. That's what this is. It's going to be in format of separated values. Now we're going to separate it via comma. Okay, so comma. Now as I said before, and you've got your first one is your data build code. So that's the data build code here. So that's number 1. So that's within the first comma range. The quantity is over in the third comma range. So that means this has to be 3. We're not interested in the cost center, so we'll delete that out. Workup, we don't want one of them. We don't want the load. We don't want the supplier reference. Description. Description's in the second range of commas. So that goes to 2. We don't want the unit price, and we don't want the unit. So that's all that should be left in here. 1, 3, and 2. Now you see this little pencil over here. This won't work if that's still there, so just click out and that's gone. Once you're confident that those things are right, little green arrow up here, hit that, and at the top that was running there. Now this will bring this screen up for you. Now important, check this screen, especially if you've just first started doing it. You might have done a few things wrong, picked the wrong thing out when you were using Envisioneer. You might have put the wrong item in. You might have put a window in that you thought was actually had a recipe for it, and it doesn't. It'll tell you here, it'll say there is no code for it. As it is, there's a couple here. We put some grasses in at some stage, so the wallaby grass doesn't have a code. Well, a big deal. We're not going to be quoting wallaby grass, or a tall pineapple bush. We're not going to be quoting that either. The fences doesn't have it. Well, I actually do have a recipe for fences, but I have it unticked in the quantity code of Envisioneer, so it's saying it's not being brought in. So it's good. Make sure you read this because it's good warning. Again here, garden footpath concrete. It says it's not in there. Well, my footpath concrete is display purposes only. I put it out to if I'm showing somebody a 3D, I usually put a footpath around it that defines the front boundary for them. But any other concrete like external footpaths, external concrete driveways and things are in the bill. Otherwise they'd show up here because it's a different kind of concrete. Everything else is fine because there's nothing else in the list. So if you're happy with that, if you find a problem, what you've got to do now is go back into that text document, find the correct code or the correct item, and then change it in the text document, and then re-import it. Just do the same process we've just done previous until this list comes up with nothing that's important missing out of the bill. Righto, so we've done that. And this told me 94 items have been imported, so that sounds about right. Once we've done that, we close out of that, go back into quantities, go bill of quantities, find our job, which is Gander again. Now you'll see there's nothing in all the bills here. It's just recipes, and all the recipes are down below. So now what we've got to do is explode the recipes. So we come up here into actions, explode recipes, and check this screen out. Make sure it's as it says here, which is around quantities, combined like quantities. So you don't want to have like there's so many different walls in the house. You just have a huge list of walls unless you've got this ticked and it's going to combine everything of the same thing together. Sort quantities, clear zero quantity items. I don't want to clear zero quantity items because some things will come in as zero that I have, say, attached to my fixed costs. I've got some things in there as a reminder. Say, I don't know, I might have clothesline provision in there. I have it as 0, so later on if someone wants a clothesline, I don't have to worry about going and find a clothesline, put it in the bill. I just put 1 next to it. So if I was to clear this here, those things would be gone from the bill. Well, it's going to take that reminder away from you that, if maybe they want a clothesline, a bit asked. There's other items, that's not just the only one, but that's just an example. Make sure these ones are ticked, and it's for this job, righto. You can do it for just one cost centre. I find it hasn't been too successful that I just do the whole job, righto. So once you're happy with that, hit this little button here, which is Explode Recipes. And now that'll be working up the top here. It does take a little while to happen, so we'll just come back and pause it. Okay, now that's finished. As soon as it finishes that exploding recipe, it just goes straight back to this screen, and you can see our whole job's been populated. So now it's important, start at the top, go through, make sure everything's right. It's brought in our construction insurance, our council fees, and indemnity insurance, because these are all set up in our recipes to start off with. Our toilet hire, equipment hire. Now the one thing that has to be changed in anything we do is you're going to drainer. Because I work out the stormwater and sewer in the house, our standard plumber has a charge that we pay him a minimum of 40 metres of sewer every job, and he has a minimum of 60 metres of stormwater. So that comes in here into this cost centre here, but because I work out the stormwater and sewer, it works out the actual metres. Now you can see here there's 95.7 of stormy, and sewer has 53.2. Now we've already got 40 metres of sewer allowed, so that means that's got to be changed to 13.2. Again here we've got 60 metres allowed. There's actually 95, so we've got to take the 60 off it, so we're looking at 35.7. So there we go, drainer's going to be right. Look, go through, check these things, make sure they're right. Here's some of those zeroed quantities. There's a little bit more detail in the way this some of the recipes, how I've worked them out, why that's 0. I'm not going to go into that right now, but that's actually correct the way that works. Because our plumber gets paid in this here, in this section we've got, he gets paid to put in 1 toilet, 2 toilets, 2 showers and a bath. Okay, now this house has an extra basin over the standard, so that's why there's 1, not 3 basins which there are in the house. If the place had 3 toilets, it would have 1 here, because it's going to calculate 1 more than what's included in the price. So the drainers right now. Scaffold. One thing, it's very difficult to get a recipe that works out a gable for you and works out the correct amount of scaffold, because so basically come in, have a look. This has only got 2 small gables on it. It's 1 small gable, sorry, on the front of the garage, front of the portico. Why it has 10 in there, I'll be quite honest, I'm not really sure, so it's certainly not going to need that. We'll just put 1 in there. If you think that's too much, you could put 0.5, whatever, but 1 will do. Actually, the other thing with the scaffold, edge protection. We know that's right because that's attached to the gutters. So when I did the gutters, it's worked out the guardrail that needs to go on that house. So that's all there. All your sand, concrete pump, reinforcing. Reinforcing and whatnot in here is only, you see it up the top here. The way we work it out is it's only for the footings. The rest of we allow this to come in a 0 item, so that way it can be, when we actually get the job and we want to then make quantities up for it for ordering purposes, then we populate this. It's pretty hard to get this in a square metre setup, so we do have a square metre rate for concrete slabs, so that's why that's here. So we've got a supply and install rate here of $90 a metre, so we know the slab price is there. It's just when we go to orders later, we'll fill the blanks in and those reinforcing and whatnot. There is a bit of concrete that came in, and that's come in because of the piers and not the piers, the footings and things like that. And if there's any external concrete and things, actually no, that'll come in later on, so that wouldn't come in there either. Wall frames, just told me how many linear metres of wall frames, external, internal. It's brought in some propping timber. It's brought in some masonite packing strips to help with the windows, some staples for the paper, and then we always have a quote section up here left as again. So if we got a quote for walls later, we just type that price in there and we delete these two out, and you'll find usually one will be as close as it is to the other. Actually, sometimes a good idea, which I should have added to the recipe, I haven't, is to drop in a delivery charge, so which is as simple as going, bring it up there, hit delivery, add the bill, it's done. So there we go, delivery's in. One of structural timber. It's brought in all our beams for our windows, because they were attached to our windows. For each different window we put the different size beams it needs. They were all brought in, and beams for any patios, verandas and whatnot. All our framing hardware, so we've got our Duragal posts, so we've got 9 linear metres because we changed that in that text file, so we've got 9 linear metres of those. It's brought in the base plates for the steel columns. Now because those are worked out, remember I changed that to 9 rather than 7.4 or whatever it might have been. It's added an extra base plate in here. They're not expensive. I usually don't really care or worry about it too much, but if you wanted to, count the posts and change them to 3. It's brought all the bolts and Dynabolts you need for the veranda, the bolts to the house, the Dynabolts for the bottom of the post. It's brought in the bolts for the actual post to the beams and different things in the house that we've calculated for in different recipes. It's brought in 250. It's brought in the 50 by 50 mil post to go on in a steel column. In this particular case, well, they're probably not needed because those brick piers are only short piers, but anyway, who cares? It's $12 worth. But if that was a full brick pier, because I shortened the pier when we originally did it, if that was a full brick pier on a portico, it'll bring the linear meters worth of steel post in as whatever the linear meters of that brick pier is. It's going to bring in a 50 by 50 post just to temporarily hold it until the bricks are finished. I mean, obviously the post stays there, but easy for construction, just the way we do it. Roof trusses price, again, it's just worked out linear meters. It works out right, or the square meters. Again, I'll chuck a delivery charge in on that one. So as you can see, there is still a little bit to do after DataBuild's finished with it, after DataBuild's imported it from Envisioneer, although it's only because I haven't gone back and fixed my recipes and put that delivery charge in, and I could honestly fix up the sewer and those things as well if I wanted to, but I don't think I ever want to do this and not check over everything to have a bit of a look through it. Fascias and gutters, all your wall sarking paper, your metal roof. I mean, these are accurate because they're telling you exactly the amount of square meters on that roof. They're telling you exact length of all the hips, valleys, ridge caps, because we worked them out before. Every time we send a new job off to Stoddart or someone to price it, it comes back to the dollar all button. So it works. Plumber, electrician, you can go through and have a look if you like, but just make sure your PowerPoints, like we've got PowerPoints, light fittings, all this stuff, it's there. Your windows, it's worked out all the windows. So it's pretty much, there's nothing you've got to think of, it's done. So once you're finished over that, you're right. Actually, brick supply, again, it's only a small item, but your brick train and levy, we didn't bother attaching that to our windows at the time when we first did them. It's something else I haven't bothered going back and fixing because it's only worth $2. The whole thing's only $20, but if you wanted to, you could change that to $8.70, and that's done. Bricklayer labour, you can see that's all there. Plasterboard lining, actually, here's one, because when we did our house originally, and it's a 2550 ceiling house, the recipe works out the width of the wall and gives you the square meters of ceiling for the width of the wall. So in this particular case, there's 8.9 square meters of ceiling to be added for the walls, because every tradesman gets paid over to over of a house, but the ceiling itself calculates itself on the inside of the wall space. Now again, I could go and make another recipe and make a ceiling that's a 2.4 ceiling, a 2.550 ceiling, a 2.7 ceiling, and so on. I could have 1,000 recipes. At the end of the day, you've got to draw the line and say, well, that'll do. This is a pretty simple fix. It's worked out square meters right. It's actually got the wrong ceiling. It's got a 2.4 ceiling. Just come over here and do that, and it's fixed it straight away. It's changed the rate. Okay. Insulation's worked out, garage doors, fixed out timber, cabinet maker. Because we work it out by our walls, how we did standard kitchen overhead cupboards, there's 2.5 linear metres, 320 a metre, and all these different things in here. Now what you could do is take that and get a joinery price now, and then put that in here, and then delete all this stuff out. You'll find if you've worked well with the cabinet maker like we have, this will come up within $50 every time. It's that close. Yeah, and pretty much just check different things out. Our painter's another one who gets paid extra for 2550 ceilings, so don't know why that is, but it's come up. Just change that one there because he gets extra per square metres, so gets an extra $1.50 a metre, so just put 217 in there. But I think you'd agree it's simplified the process. It makes quoting a job pretty quick. Well, this whole video has lasted 16 minutes, and that job now is ready to now pump out a price for the customer. Okay, that's it.